Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. The bell and the geese call us together in covenant to bring our search for truth and meaning, to unfold into understanding, thence into love. Today, let us especially remember our covenant to affirm and promote the fourth principle, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning.
Our opening hymn is number 398, To See the World in a Grain of Sand. Please sing along with the Star King Unitarian Universalist Church.
To see the
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Meredith Garman, minister to Community Unitarian Universalist Congregation at White Plains, New York. I am coming to you live this morning from our congregation's parsonage.
Good morning. I'm Adam Kent, our congregation's music director here in my home in Manhattan.
And I'm Jeff Tomlinson of our Congregation's Social Justice Committee, Coordinating Committee, and your worship associate this morning, live from my home in White Plains.
Our director of religious education is Tracy Brenneman. Right now, Tracy is in another Zoom room supporting online religious education classes for our children and youth.
It's a blessing you were born. It matters what you do. Your experience of the divine is true, and you don't have to go it alone.
We are celebrating Martin Luther King Day weekend, this fourth Sunday of winter. The first full moon of the new year, called the Wolf Moon, will happen tomorrow night. The days are getting longer by over a minute and a half more daylight each day now.
Yay! A special welcome to our visitors. We are honored to have you with us. If you're new here today, then please do introduce yourself in the chat.
You will find a link to the order of service on our website, CUUCWP.org. Our website also offers information to help us keep us in touch and keep us connected, as well as a donate button.
I am not in the pulpit today. Our service is a celebration of Bell Hooks, who died last month at the age of 69, and it's an opportunity to hear from some diverse voices in our congregation to whom Bell Hooks's work has been an inspiration. I will, however, be leading the prayer and the sharing of joys and sorrows. So if you have a joy, sorrow, or milestone you'd like to share, please enter it into the chat starting now. And please make the first word joy, sorrow, or milestone so that I'll know which of the chat entries are meant for me to speak.
We'll now have our chalice lighting. We invite you to light a chalice or candle at home along with Tracy as she leads us in the chalice lighting.
Along with Creighton, actually.
Apologies.
Good morning. I'm Creighton Cray, Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees. The Board of Trustees recognizes that these are not easy times. It is frustrating that we're not able to have services in person. Have hope. As my wife Julie Gans's favorite band, the Avett Brothers, says, the day will come. The sun will rise, and we will be fine. Please know the board is focused on our community and planning events that will further bring us together virtually in a safe manner. Be on the lookout in the eCommunitarian for these events. And now to our chalice lighting. On the fourth Sunday of the season, we dedicate our chalice to the fourth principle of our faith, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Please join me and the chalice lighting words from Napoleon Lovely. We light this chalice to affirm that new light is ever waiting to break through to illumine our way, that new truth is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our minds, and that new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts.
And now here's Adam with our opening music, R.D. Matthews's Pastime Rag number 3.
Ragtime is a musical genre that emerged at around the turn of the 20th century, at first among composers of African descent. The term is thought to allude to a kind of ragging or syncopated of traditional march rhythms. Scott Joplin was perhaps the most famous early master of ragtime, but one of his equally distinguished contemporaries was R.D. Matthews, and this is his third pastime rag.
way down to Baltimore in 1819, William Ellery Channing and the half-dozen prominent liberal ministers of Boston that traveled with him stopped and preached along the way in various places, including New York City, where Channing's sister, Lucy Channing Russell, invited about 40 friends to her house in Lower Manhattan to hear her brother speak. This would lead to the founding of the Unitarian Church of All Souls. Channing's Baltimore sermon, Unitarian Christianity, was produced as a pamphlet, and hardly an American sermon ever has been as widely read. Jared Sparks, whose ordination was the occasion of Channing's sermon, 4 months later himself traveled south to give an ordination sermon in Charleston, South Carolina. On the way, Sparks preached to Unitarians in Raleigh, North Carolina. And 2 years later, Sparks was chosen to serve as chaplain of the U.S. House of Representatives. While in D.C., Sparks helped nurture a Unitarian congregation there, also named All Souls. That same year, 1821, Sparks founded the Unitarian Miscellany, a monthly magazine for spreading the Unitarian message. Sparks even received communications of interest in Unitarianism from frontier towns out west beyond the Appalachian Mountains. East Coast establishment, unfortunately, did not regard the hinterlands as important, so there wasn't much interest, energy, or organization for serving Unitarians in remote areas. Meanwhile, back in Massachusetts, the law of the time provided town taxes to support the town church, even though many people in the town didn't become official members of the church. In times of ministerial transition, the church and the town as a whole both had a say in approving the new minister. What if they disagreed? To find out,
catch our next thrilling episode.
for this morning's spoken invocation, here is An Ode to Bell Hooks, You Have Left Us a Gift, by Irma McLaurin. Sister Bell Hooks, to you we owe an enormous debt that can never really be repaid in full. You fed our minds, gave us concepts like black feminism to chew on, masticate, then swallow like a snake consuming the whole body of its prey. We ingested your words, your radical black feminist way of being and writing, your defiance in the small letters of your name and body. We watched the world choosing to ignore you until the strength and sharpness in the sword of your ideas and words could no longer be ignored, as you cut through the bullshit shields of white privilege, white hegemony, internalized racism, sexism, to challenge all. You wrote, spoke for, to, the folk long before a public intellectual was a thing. Small of stature, for sure, but like Sister Harriet T., you moved with the grace of a lioness, knowledged us, and loved us, black women, black people, and the world with the power of a mighty army. You were our truth sayer, a black Cassandra speaking truth to power, yet destined never to be believed. You were our African trickster, our Elegba, playing serious pranks of supreme knowledge on those who mistook you for a demure Kentucky-born, light-skinned black woman not to be feared, until after they felt the sting of your scorpion pen and hardness of your diamond-sharp intellect. We will miss you for true, but you left us a feast of writing for adults and for black children. You are gone too soon, but it would selfish for us to begrudge you the rest you so desperately needed and most clearly have earned. Rest in power, Sister Bell Hooks. Join the pantheon of black women ancestors who preceded you. Toni Morrison, Toni Cade Bambara, Audre Lorde, Gloria Joseph, Ntozake Shange, Gloria Andaluza, your great-grandmother Bell Hooks, and the enslaved women who wanted to write and couldn't. You have left us a gift, black Buddhist wise woman, and it is up to us to find the courage to carry on your legacy. No need to cry useless tears for you. Instead, Let us pick up our pens and write our way to liberation and freedom. Ashe. Our sung invocation in Spanish, then English. Spirit of life. Please sing along. We have a time of prayer for orienting ourselves toward our purpose and our gratitude. Dear Spirit of life and love, we bring ourselves and all our baggage and stand before reality as what we are: primates, mammal, vertebrate animals, in love with life and this world, and also burdened. We are stunned by the beauty in which we are immersed, wonders of nature and the everyday kindness shown by people in all walks of life, and the love that actually is all around. We are stunned by the tragedy in which we are immersed: abuse, violence, war, famine, and disease. We remember this morning our siblings in India, Myanmar, China, Kazakhstan, Russia, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, the UK, Spain, Morocco, Venezuela, and across the US. We give thanks and our caring concern for all who work for justice, equality, and peace. We give thanks and our caring concern to all the healthcare workers struggling with overburdened facilities. Our hearts go out on behalf of all of those lost to COVID-19, which has claimed 5.6 million lives, and active cases exceed 53 million. Our hearts go out on behalf of those suffering effects of climate change. We are seeing rapid melting of permafrost, which underpins existence in northern climes. And we give thanks for the many efforts taking place to educate and change attitudes and practices around CO2 emissions and pollution. We ask of ourselves the mindful intention to delight in what is good, to confront what is cruel, to heal what is broken. Amen. We observe now 60 seconds of silence.
Calling on you, hungry hearts, everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this heart of mine. Calling on you, hungry spirits, all the lost and the left behind. All I can, I'll share with you, your joy and your sorrow, I make it mine.
From Norman Fisher's Training in Compassion, training number 7 is Send and Receive Compassion. Compassion comes from with and passion in the sense of pain. It means to feel pain with. It's the willingness to feel pain with another, to feel another's pain as one's own. But it's impossible to take in the pain of another unless we are able to take in our own pain. And most of us are not so good at accepting our own pain. We prefer to deny it or distract ourselves from it. We can't take in our own pain, so we can't feel another's pain. So we are incapable of actual compassion. It is impossible to be truly compassionate, to receive another's pain, if you are unable to receive your own. Real, full compassion requires training your heart to do what it usually does not want to do, to go toward rather than away from what's painful and difficult in your own life. To send and receive compassion, start by breathing in the openness of mind that you can feel in the clarity and strength of the inhale. Then exhale, letting go completely and merging with openness of mind, so that there is nothing else present but that. Breathe in your own suffering. Let compassion ride on your breath. Gobble up all the suffering and the pain. You may well be squeamish about this, and it might be difficult at first, but with practice, you can do it. For what to do next and why, you'll need to see the post at cucmatters.org. The link is in your eCommunitarian.
Our hymn is number 1017, We Are Building a New Way. Please sing along with the Love Supremes of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta.
We are building a new way together. We are building a new way together. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way together. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, it is a seed. We can feed our every need. That freedom is our cry. That freedom is our cry. He said freedom is our cry. Without these the world would die. That freedom is our cry. We are building a new way together. We are building a new way together. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way together. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way together. We are building a new way together. We are building a new way.
As we celebrate bell hooks, we share now reflections from Reverend Laura Kim Joyner and from Tara James. And then after the interlude, we'll have thoughts from Jeff Tomlinson and Adine Usher.
Every time I think I have arrived at some understanding of love or domination, something happens and I realize that I'm just a beginner. The most recent and memorable example was when I was in Suriname right before COVID hit. I was crossing the country in boats and in trucks with my trusty hammock, counting parrots. My newly met guides were coastal Surinamese, descended from people who were enslaved in the country's plantation past. We ended up at the end of the river, hemmed in by rocky falls and days that were either with too much rain or too much heat. More intimate conversations ensued in those long hours. There, far from my southern USA racist roots, my Surinamese colleague told me, "I'm afraid of white people." Ah, I thought, I have much, much more work to do. This conversation and current events have motivated me to read more and more Black authors, which of course led me to Bell Hooks. How have I gotten to this point in my life without having read her? I am enchanted. In her book, All About Love, I have marked just about every single page with something I need to remember or something I need to act upon. I have much, much more work to do. For instance, she writes, any disease of the soul must be conquered by a turning of one's soul. This turning is done through an affirmation of one's own worth, an affirmation fueled by caring for others. We choose to love by cultivating awareness that we are completely interconnected to others, and I add to all species. We practice love by not giving in to the isolation of our lives or a sense of separation between peoples, and I add between people and nature. If Bell Hooks was here today, what would she say to me? What would she say to you? I hear her say that the primary way we love, as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King wrote, is not a weak or sentimental response to life, but an all-out embrace of all lives. Her words fall like a return embrace. Live every day with the love ethic, oriented towards ending domination and oppression. Now that sounds like a lot of work, doesn't it? But her words leave me with a different feeling. One of a vision of love that is renewing, making everything possible. Her writing acknowledges fear and then invites us to eschew it. How? In community and commitment, there is much, much more love to do.
Hello, my name is Tara James, and I'm on the board of CUUC, and I would like to share with you my reflection of Bell Hooks. I first became aware of Bell Hooks in college. I was a graduate student in women's history, and my concentration was the civil rights movement and the intellectual work of African-American women. Women like Alice Walker, Angela Davis, my teachers, Sonia Sanchez, Audre Lorde, Kimberly Crenshaw, and Bell Hooks, they were all my heroes. I felt like they were talking to me as well as being in conversation with each other. Now, they didn't always agree with each other, but they built on each other's work. And that work in all of its complexity gave me a framework with which to view my own research and my activism and my place in the world. It was Bell Hooks who gave me the language to articulate my perception of the world as a Black woman. So on the subject of language, I'd like to share with you the words of Bell Hooks, taken from an article she wrote in 1989 called "Choosing the Margin as a Space for Radical Openness." Often when the radical voice speaks about domination, we are speaking to those who dominate. Their presence changes the nature and direction of our words. Language is also a place of struggle. I was just a girl coming slowly into womanhood when I read Adrienne Rich's words, quote, "This is like oppressor's language, yet I needed to talk to you," unquote. This language that enabled me to attend graduate school, to write a dissertation, to speak at job interviews carries the scent of oppression. Language is also a place of struggle. The Australian Aborigines say the smell of the white man is killing us. I remember the smells of my childhood: hot water, cornbread, turnip greens, fried pies. I remember the way we talked to one another, Our words, thickly accented Black Southern speech. Language is also a place of struggle. We are wedded in language, have our being in words. Language is also a place of struggle. Dare I speak to oppressed and oppressor in the same voice? Dare I speak to you in a language that will move beyond the boundaries of domination, a language that will not bind you, fence you in, or hold you? Language is also a place of struggle. The oppressed struggle in language to recover ourselves, to reconcile, to reunite, to renew. Our words are not without meaning. They are an action, a resistance. Language is also a place of struggle.
Thank you, Laura, Kim, and Tara. Samuel Coleridge Taylor was a British-born composer of African descent. In 1905, he published a collection of piano pieces he called 24 Negro Melodies. They were his settings of melodies from various regions of Africa, from the Caribbean, and in the case of the one I'm going to play for you now, the world of American spirituals. This is his setting of Deep River.
Hi, Jeff Tomlinson again. I first became aware of bell hooks through writings by other people who repeatedly quoted Dr. Hooks. Whether it was Unitarian Universalist writings or writings on anti-racism and anti-oppression work, I always found myself deeply moved by these quotes. Reading her book, All About Love, New Visions, was on my to-do list for 2022 when the news came out that she had passed. I was so saddened by this loss for all of us because she had so much to contribute to today's conversations about racism, oppression, patriarchal oppression, domination, feminism. Children's rights was central to her writings, family functioning, education, intimate relationships, love, education, spirituality, and more. It is true, she's gone far too soon. Hooks writes about a personal lifelong struggle with relationships and love. She wrote about her struggles with her family as a child, which of course got her in trouble with her mother all over again. She discusses today's problems in a very down-to-earth manner for many pages, then suddenly synthesizes these issues around love. Dr. Hook's centering of love in all of these issues makes so much sense to me. It pulls together and explains so much of today's societal problems. While Bell Hooks identified herself as a Buddhist Christian, she was one of those people that you do a double take and say, aren't you a you? Let me just share with you her thoughts on spirituality. Spiritual life is first and foremost about commitment to a way of thinking and behaving that honors principles of interbeing and interconnectedness. When I speak of the spiritual, I refer to a recognition within everyone that there is a place of mystery. In our lives, there are forces that are beyond human desire or will alter circumstances and or guide and direct us. I call these forces divine spirit. When we choose to lead a spirit-filled life, we recognize and celebrate the presence of transcendent spirits. Some people call this presence soul, God, the beloved, higher consciousness, or higher power. Still others say this force is what it is because it cannot be named. To them, it's simply the spirit moving in us and through us. A commitment to spiritual life necessarily means we embrace the eternal principle, that love is all, everything, our true destiny. Despite overwhelming pressure to conform to the culture of lovelessness, we still seek to know love. That seeking itself is a manifestation of divine spirit. Bell Hooks asks all of us to heal our lives, our relationships, our families, and our communities by committing to a love ethic, a life of love. May it be so.
In a 2016 edition of The Guardian, the feminist Bell Hooks focused on and challenged Beyoncé's video album, Lemonade, in which Beyoncé attempts to artistically define female power. This is Bell Hooks' response to the wealthy pop star. From slavery to the present day, Black female bodies, clothed and unclothed, have been bought and sold. What makes this commodification different in Lemonade is intent. Its purpose is to seduce, celebrate, and delight, to challenge the ongoing present-day devaluation and dehumanization of the Black female body. It is the broad scope of Lemonade's visual landscape that makes it so distinctive. The construction of a powerfully symbolic Black female sisterhood that resists invisibility, that refuses to be silent. This in and of itself is no small feat. It shifts the gaze of white mainstream culture. It challenges us to look anew to a radical revision of how we see Black female body. Today, however, this radical repositioning of Black female images does not truly overshadow or change conventional sexist constructions of Black female identity. Even though Beyoncé and her creative collaborators daringly offer multidimensional images of Black female life, much of the album stays within a conventional stereotypical framework where the Black woman is always a victim. The story is as old as the ballad Frankie and Johnny. He was my man, all right, but he done me wrong. Like the fictional Frankie, Beyoncé's character responds to her man's betrayal with rage. She wreaks violence. Contrary to misguided notions of gender equality, women do not and will not seize power and create self-love and self-esteem through violent acts. Female violence is no more liberatory than male violence. And when violence is made to look sexy and eroticized, as in the Lemonade sexy dress street scene, it does not serve to undercut the prevailing cultural sentiment that it is acceptable to use violence to reinforce domination, especially in relations between men and women. Violence does not create positive change. Even though Beyoncé and her creative collaborators make use of the powerful voice and the words of Malcolm X to emphasize the lack of respect for Black womanhood, simply showcasing beautiful Black bodies does not create a just culture of optimal well-being, where Black women can be fully self-actualized and be truly respected. Beyoncé's construction of feminism cannot be trusted. Her vision of feminism does not call for an end to patriarchal domination. It's all about insisting on equal rights for men and women. In the world of fantasy feminism, there are no class, sex, and race hierarchies that break down simplified categories of women and men. No call to challenge and change systems of domination. No emphasis on intersectionality. In such a simplified worldview, women gaining the freedom to be like men can be seen as powerful. But, says Hooks, this is a false construction of power, as so many men, especially Black men, do not possess actual power. And indeed, it is clear that cruelty and violence toward Black women is a direct outcome of patriarchal exploitation and oppression. In this fictive world, Black female emotional pain can be exposed and revealed. It can be given voice. This is a vital and essential stage of freedom struggle. But it does not bring exploitation and domination to an end. It is only as Black women and all women resist patriarchal romanticization of domination in relationships can a healthy self-love emerge that allows every Black female and all females to refuse to be a victim. Hooks says, to truly be free, we must choose beyond simply surviving adversity. We must dare to create lives of sustained, optimal well-being and joy. In that world, the making and drinking of lemonade will be a fresh and zestful delight a real life mixture of the bitter and the sweet, and not a measure of our capacity to endure pain, but rather a celebration of our moving beyond pain.
Our closing hymn is number 1018, Come and Go With Me. Please sing along with Valimar Jansen and the choir of Christ the King Church in Kingston, Rhode Island.
Oh, we're headed to a land, yes? A land where there's peace that passes all understanding. And when we get to that land, how many of you want to shoot past purgatory right into heaven? Woo! Won't that be wonderful? We want to bring as many people with us as we can. So we sing together. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm found. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm found. There's peace in that land. Is there peace? Let's sing that. Peace in that land. There'll be peace in that land. There'll be peace in that land where I'm bound. There'll be peace in that land. There'll be peace in that land. There'll be peace in that land where I'm bound. Throw your hands in the air and say freedom. Freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land. There'll be freedom in that land where I'm bound. No more crying in that land. No more crying in that land. No more crying in that land. Are you sound beautiful? No more crying in that land. No more crying in that land. No more crying in that land where I'm from. No more dying in that land. No more dying in that land. No more dying in that land. No more dying in that land where I'm from. No more dying in that land. No more dying in that land. No more dying in that land where I'm from. Come and go with me. Go with me to that land. Go with me to that land. Go with me to that land where I'm from. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Come and go with me to that land where I'm bound. Go with me to that land where I'm bound. Where I'm bound. Where I'm bound. Where I'm bound. Where
As we extinguish our chalice, please say with me the following words on your screen. As we have gathered, so we depart, to carry into the world who we are, people of free faith, seeking a deeper truth, people of love, resolved to build belonging.
Live, friends, your covenant to search for truth and meaning.
Go your ways, knowing not the answers to all things.
Yet seeking always the answer to one more thing than you know.
Go in peace.
if you